Hello everyone, and if you have continence issues, if you have pelvic pain, but if you also have tension and pain in your lower back, issues with your hip joint or your knees, the following exercise can help. And what we're going to focus on is integrating the fascia of the legs, of the inner thighs, with the fascia of the pelvic floor. In this model, you can see that the pelvic floor is shown in isolation, but in reality, the fascia of the legs, for example, the fascia of the inner thighs, connects into the fascia of the pelvic floor. And this connection is very important because if you have tightness, for example, in the muscles of the inner thigh, it will transfer into the pelvic floor. So let's get started. And there's one tool we will need, which is a little towel. So what we do is we take the towel and we put it on the floor and stand on it. The other leg we're going to put on the chair as so. We'll start with the pelvis facing the leg. Then we will slide our hand over the inside of the thigh like that. And if you pull a little bit, you might feel that connection into the pelvic floor right through there. So we have a muscle here called the adductor magnus. We pull on that. We're definitely going to feel a connection into the back of the pelvis most likely. Then we will take the other hand and put it on the other pelvic half, the other side of the pelvis. We are going to rotate that leg out, which slides nicely on the towel on the floor like that. At the same time, we're going to slide our hands out, one hand out over the inner thigh, one hand out over the pelvis. And this will help us to lengthen and stretch and activate the fascia of the pelvic floor via the fascia of the inner thigh. Now we're going to add a little bit of a knee flexion, if you like. Only do this if it's comfortable. So I'm flexing the knee on the support side just a little bit and sliding out like that. And I can feel how the pelvic floor is widening and lengthening and opening as I'm doing this. You can do this at different speeds, a little bit faster if you like, a little bit slower. I'm always pulling out through here on the inner thigh. Then we're going to take our leg off the chair. We shake out our legs a little bit and we feel the results. This is actually an important part of the exercise where you notice what happened in the pelvic floor. So you probably feel on one side was on the leg, you might feel a little more lifted in your pelvis, a little more tone on that side, a little more support into the pelvic floor. You can stand on that leg, notice what it feels like, stand on the other side, compare the two sides. And then of course we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm placing the chair over here, taking my towel and standing on it with the other leg. Then I take my leg and put it on the chair like that. First, let's just feel that connection between the inner thigh and the pelvic floor. Then we put the other hand here on the pelvic half and we rotate out and we rotate in. I'm sliding my hands out over the inner thigh and over the pelvic half. Now I'm going to add a little bit of knee flexion if that's comfortable, which will create even more stretch. Focus on that stretch in the pelvic floor. Focus on how the fascia of the inner thigh is influencing the fascia of the pelvic floor and vice versa, creating connection and integration between the fascia of the leg and the pelvic floor. And let's do it one more time. Very nice. Excellent. Good. Take your leg off the chair. Shake out your leg. Let's stand for a moment and notice any changes. So you might notice the pelvic feels more lifted. You're more lifted in front. You have more tone in the pelvic floor. Probably more release in your lower back and your hips feel freer. And if you enjoyed this exercise, I have many more exercises for you in my upcoming online course on the fascia of the pelvic floor, where we will learn about the 5 levels of pelvic floor fascia. We'll learn how to integrate the fascia of the torso, of the abdominal wall, with the pelvic floor, of the legs, with the pelvic floor, with many brand new embodiment exercises. We're going to have wonderful new imagery for you and a great manual that explains all the exercises in detail. Looking forward to seeing you there and have a good day.